Welcome to the Former Fat Friend podcast. I'm Kasey.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Allie, and together we've lost over 370 pounds.
We all know what it's like to be the fat friend, and now we are sharing the ins and outs of our weight loss journeys.
Hey guys, happy podcast day.
Hi, happy
It's
podcast
here.
day.
I am very excited for this week.
Yeah.
I think we are talking about something, well, I'm excited to talk about it.
It's the juiciest.
Yeah,
I think we're
I'm
gonna
nervous
get.
actually.
Definitely the juiciest. Oh, see, I think that's why I like it so much, because it's like, you know, living on the edge.
I like to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Should we tell them? Should we tell them what it is?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think?
Oh, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, eventually we're going to have
We're
to.
gonna have
So
to
we
cut all
might
this
as well
out.
just rip
Yeah.
the Band-Aid off. We're going to talk about dating and relationships post-weight loss surgery.
Yeah.
How are we feeling?
It's a big one.
I'm
nervous.
excited. I'm excited because I think the three of us all have very distinct experiences and are at different places in our love lives
Mm-hmm.
or lack thereof.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. So maybe we can all give like kind of what's our current status of relationships and dating. Lisa, do you want to go first?
Yes, I would love to let everyone know that I am still single. Still single. And looking to be matched.
Single and looking. All right, Allie, what
I
about you?
am married. I've been married 6 or 7 years. Neither one of us knows. So pretty boring stuff over here.
Yeah, married. We've got 2 little girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Case.
I am in a relationship. We just had our 1-year anniversary. So, yeah, I've been dating a wonderful man for the last year.
You guys have both been active daters post weight loss surgery. Do you want to talk about like what was dating like before weight loss surgery, like while you were going through the process of trying to figure all this out?
Yeah, I have definitely been mostly single for the majority of my adult life. I've been online dating for as long as I can remember, like going back to Plenty of Fish, or POF as we like to call
Wow.
it.
I thought that was like, is that a Christian dating site or is
No.
that not?
No, it's
not
just
like
there's
J-Date or
plenty of
whatever?
fish in the sea, apparently.
It's one of the original.
Okay, I was thinking like you had enough fish to feed the masses.
Sure.
I do
Any
see
other,
the religious undertones there. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I got you.
Yeah.
That wasn't the function for
No,
me.
but that,
Okay.
that was like pre-dating apps. That was
that
dating
was
websites.
pre-Tinder,
Okay.
yeah. Always did the dating apps, which was tough for me because I carry most of my weight in my lower half. And I have a smaller face and smaller upper body. So I was always worried about unintentionally catfishing someone. I always like held my breath. I was very scared for that first date because I was worried that they were going to see me and feel catfished. I attached my size very much to my like worthiness in a man's eyes. Like
Mhm.
I'm not going to be worth he's going to see me and be like, oh no, not
Yeah.
that big girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kasey, you have said before that it also was not feeling great for you and you had kind of stopped dating, right?
Yeah. So I have also had been single basically my entire adult life, like post-college. I tried dating a lot. And I think online dating for me was hard because, one, I'm an introvert. So dating in general is just exhausting for me. And then you throw in the layer of like being obese and having to like deal with that, like the self-confidence issues that come with that. And like, you know, all the worry of like, does this person know what I actually look like? And, you know, are they into it? And is it like a weird like fetish thing is also another like aspect of it. Like, are they like, oh, I really like big girls? Or are they like, I just like this girl because she's just a
Okay,
girl
I was like actively seeking out men that liked big girls.
Oh my God,
To be
no, it was
clear.
the biggest turnoff. No, I was like, ew, no, you only want me because I'm big? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Because I was like, yes, you should want me. Like,
Yeah, that's the energy I'm looking for.
that
Yeah.
means I had enough money to eat last week, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, so dating was tough for me. So I would go through phases where I wanted to find someone. I wanted to find a partner and I wanted that, but it was just difficult for me. So I would go through these phases of where I'd be like, yeah, I'm really going to do it. Like I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to get back on the apps and go on first dates and try to meet people. And then I would just be completely burnt out and I wouldn't touch it for months on end. And just never really successfully met anyone.
We talk a lot about apps. Did you guys do any like searching outside of apps? Like, did you actively try to go out or?
I was really involved in sports and I like thought that I might meet someone that way and I just never did. I do remember I really liked this guy that was on my volleyball team and we were friends. And I think I like struggled with a lot of like self-esteem and self-confidence. And so never like really tried to pursue anything outside of a friendship. And then a new girl joined our volleyball team and he like immediately started dating her. And she was this tiny, cute little girl. And it was like, oh, just like a gut punch of like, confirmation that like, oh, it's because I'm fat. That's why he didn't like me. And realistically, that's probably not true. It was probably like a lot of other things, but like that's what I attributed that to.
Yeah, I felt similarly. I mean, I remember you want to talk about like being the fat friend. That's kind of always, I wasn't the one that you dated. It was like you dated my best friend. You didn't date me. I remember I had the biggest crush on this guy and he just wanted my best friend.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. And it was like,
and I think it's hard when you are chronically single for so long and you look at everybody else around you successfully finding partners and getting married and having kids. It's really hard not to attribute that to your weight.
Absolutely. Like we did with everything. Yeah. The reason I asked about going out is because I feel like I wasn't like searching for a partner, obviously, after weight loss surgery, but I do find myself wanting to be out in public more, wanting to like engage in conversation, not for the purpose of like finding my person, but just because I feel a lot more comfortable in myself. And like I would have not ever been into like going and sitting at happy hour as frequently as I would like to now because I just feel more comfortable and like better about being out in social situations.
Interesting. I don't know that it changed for me. I mean, the way that I feel about myself has changed, but I've always been social. I don't think I felt like I needed to hide myself away from the world in like platonic settings, but I just felt like I was not worthy of a romantic relationship or that nobody would find me attractive.
I think I generally felt very invisible before. Like I can distinctly remember a guy friend, and I had a pretty large group of friends, mixed gender, and there was this one guy. He would get a little bit intoxicated and flirt with most girls in our friend group. When I was obese, he never did. I never got that kind of attention. And the first time that I was in a setting with him after I had lost maybe 40 pounds, he started doing that with me. And it was like I had gone from being invisible to not invisible. And it was kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, like reinforces all your worst fears.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible. You know what that made me think just now, Kasey? That you knew that about him and you still were like, Lisa, maybe you should date this guy.
Listen.
That is a compliment. She was like, you're tiny. He will love you now.
Ew.
He's like one of two single guys that I know.
She's like, listen, I'm doing the Lord's work out here. Don't come at me.
Kasey does. She tries so hard. She really tries to set me up.
Okay, so allow me to get us back on track here.
Please, get us together.
How did your weight affect your relationship before? I mean, you had been married, obviously, for several years before you had weight loss surgery. How did that come into play in terms of your relationship?
I think the biggest way my weight impacted my relationship pre-surgery was that I didn't love my body, and that frustrated the hell out of my husband. Like, it really like hurt him that I didn't love myself as much as he thought I should. And like frustrated him, I think, because he didn't get it. I remember I got mad at him for finding me attractive at one point. I had a before photo that I took, one of the many. Actually, I posted it the other day. It was in a bikini. And I was looking at it one night in our room and I was in bed. He was standing up. I remember so vividly. And I was like, you are so gross to me right now. I showed him the picture and I was like, I got to show you this. And I'm like really grossed out by it. And I just think that you're awful for it. And he's like, what are you talking? I'm like, why didn't you tell me that I look like this? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, it's like kind of gross to me that you find this person attractive. Like, I don't know how you could. That was like the level of self-hate, which is not great. But yeah,
that's tough.
That was one thing. Yeah, Corey used to always say to me, I would ask him like, what would you change about me? And he was like, the one thing I would change about you is that like, I wish you saw yourself the way I see you. Like, I wish that you loved yourself the way that you should.
Corey, for future reference, the correct answer is you are perfect just the way you are. I would change nothing.
You know that I love a coach, so that's not happening for me.
No, but Allie, I think that's really powerful because I think, and Lisa, you might have felt like this too, but I often thought like I attributed so much of my singleness to my weight. And I thought like, oh, it would be so nice to have a partner and, be in a relationship and be married. And I think what you're saying is what it says to me is like those issues around your body and your weight that exists no matter what kind of relationship status you're in, whether you're single, dating, married, like those things come up regardless of your circumstances.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the fun part.
Okay.
All right.
How have things improved, gotten harder since weight loss surgery?
Should we start with like newly post-op dating? Like,
yeah. So
Yeah.
I was excited to start dating. I think I was around 3 months post-op and I had lost the most weight I've ever lost in my life. At that time, I was feeling like I looked amazing and I could not wait to like put myself back out there. And so I got back on the apps at about 3 months post-op. And the first couple of first dates were terrifying because first dates they always revolve around food and alcohol.
Yeah.
And I wasn't drinking and I could barely eat any food at that time. So it was really stressful trying to like navigate like this feeling of being like, I feel so good and I feel so good about how I look and I want to go meet people and I want to get out and I want to do these things, but also like, how the heck do I actually do that logistically?
Would you tell people that you'd...
I didn't tell anybody, but I also didn't tell anyone. I didn't
beforehand.
tell.
Yeah, you're a secret
the rest of
keeper.
your
What
life,
about you,
yeah.
Lisa?
Yeah.
I really struggled with it and it varied person to person. I think I dated in that first year post-op, I dated way more than I ever did. Like I went on more dates with different people. I felt much more confident to just put myself out there and just like, yeah, let's just see. Whereas prior to weight loss surgery, I would talk to someone for weeks and weeks and weeks before I would build up the courage. And then now and after surgery, I'm like, no, let's meet. And maybe that's partly experience as well of like, okay, let's just meet in person.
Did I tell you about this? There's like reason behind that too. I learned this on a podcast. I think I've talked to you about this, that like when you have weeks and weeks of talking to someone, you like build up all this credit for them in your head and you make excuses then if they're not the right person.
Or sometimes I think, sometimes I like a connection would be built and then we'd meet in person and there's nothing there in person. And I'm like, oh, what a waste of time. Like that you're not at all. But I really struggled with when to tell and when not to tell. And I remember at first I would go back and forth because half of my brain was like, you don't know me. You're not part of my life. I don't owe you any explanation at all. You don't need access to this part of me. And the other part of me was like, oh, be transparent and own it. I remember talking about it in therapy and my therapist was like, when you're transparent, you hold the control. You control the conversation when you're upfront and open about it instead of feeling like you have something to hide. So I went back and forth. I mean, I probably went through a string of guys that I would make it like 3 or 4 dates and then nothing would happen after surgery. And I remember one of the first dates I went on after surgery, he had asked me to go to dinner. And eating out was really hard. And dating is really hard because all people want to do is let's grab a drink, let's get food. And I'm like, I can't drink alcohol at all.
I'm still working on that. That's all I want to do today, right now.
That's our culture and society. That's what we do for fun. And I remember being so frustrated, like, God, can we do something else? But he had suggested food. And he said where we were going. And so I made sure to look it up ahead of time and know what I was going to get and know what my options would be and plan for it. And then we got there and he hadn't made a reservation. Red flag number 1.
Just leave.
And there was like an hour wait. And he was like, let's just go to this bar on the corner that I know. We can go there instead. And I was like, well, crap. Like now I need to eat. I thought we were eating dinner.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
you can't call an audible right now.
No. And he got like nachos and a beer. And I was like literally there trying to like eat the chicken off the nachos and figure out.
No.
And I remember another guy.
So in that situation, did you tell him?
I didn't. I hid it. And I think that's when I ended up bringing it up in therapy. Like this was really challenging for me and I don't know what to do. So the next guy, I did tell. I was up front on the first date. He had no idea what bariatric surgery was, which was almost worse. I was like, what rock? I'd be like,
Was it the word he hadn't heard? Like if you said weight loss surgery?
I said so many things.
And he just didn't know.
I was like bypass, gastric, weight loss. Like
it is incredible to me to listen to these stories and know that you guys both, in the stories that you've told, sat through the rest of these dates. Because I would be like, oh, you know what? That's so weird. My mom's calling me. Let me go to the bathroom. And then never return. I would not be able to sit through them, I don't think.
He bought me lobster, so I wanted the lobster. But
what was the one? Didn't you have one that like you said, well, I shouldn't have. You said thanks for dinner.
What I'm getting.
Okay,
this is what I'm getting at. Yeah. God.
Sorry, Mom.
I told him and he just didn't get it. And I was like, I had 80% of my stomach removed. And he was like, okay, good for you. And we made it like 3 or 4 dates. And I remember on our 3rd date, we went out and I got a kid's meal because I was embracing. I was like, you know what? A kid's meal is what works best for me. You know what? Like, you're welcome. I'm a cheap date. Like, my dinner's not going to cost you very much. And I remember he kept trying to get me to eat some of his dinner and I couldn't finish my kid's meal. And I remember he just kept pushing his food. And I said, hey, do you remember I told you about that surgery I had? It means I can't eat as much. And I promise you I'm getting everything that I need right now. And at the end, we were leaving and I said, thank you for dinner. And he was like, I don't know why you're thanking me. You didn't even eat. Like, he was really mad about it. And I was like, okay, well, this is like, never mind.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah,
like, you're obviously not getting
terminated.
it. Yeah. I'm like, so it was very, very challenging. And so I very much went back and forth. Some people I told, like, I lost a lot of weight, but I didn't, like I said, I'm on a weight loss journey, but I didn't say surgery specifically. I don't know that I have an opinion one way or the other. Like, I don't know that I would have done anything differently or knowing what maybe I would have owned it more in hindsight.
Yeah.
But I think I was just like navigating it, you know, like we're just trying to figure out. And I was literally there. And then at one point I was drinking very sparingly. And it was like, okay, well, the drink is going to come, but then the food is going to come and I'm not done my drink yet. And I want to eat the food while it's hot, but then I'm going to waste my drink. He's going to ask me why I'm not drinking it. And I remember actually that same night of the guy that was mad I didn't eat enough, I had gotten a drink and the food came and I was so hungry and I could feel the alcohol. Like, I was like, I'm going to be wasted from 3 sips of alcohol. I have to eat food right now. And then I tried to finish my drink and I had to run to the bathroom and I got sick.
Oh, no.
Because I literally couldn't.
Well, he deserved it.
I don't know. It sounds like I'm the one that got that.
Yeah, it is. It's tough to navigate. I think that guy commenting on like you not eating your dinner is weird. I think my experience was much more like people aren't paying as much attention as you think they are because I was so paranoid about someone was going to ask me like, oh, do I not like my dinner? Or like, why am I not eating more? Why am I not drinking? And it never happened. And I really genuinely think people just don't notice as much as you think they will.
Or like they're just as nervous as you are.
Yeah, they're focused on, themselves probably.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about sharing it with people, like, isn't that, did you share it with anybody else? No, right?
No. So I really didn't make it past like, I think date 2 for most people. The guy that I dated before Bill, it was like the summer before I met Bill, we went on maybe 6 dates and I did not tell him. But fun story about this guy, I learned that after our 6th date, I learned that he actually, in fact, had a long-term girlfriend. And I found out from a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy?
Love that group.
Yep.
I mean, it's broken my heart, but I'm glad it's there.
Wait, did you also have an experience with it?
Yeah, were we not friends yet? It was absolutely horrible. I got like love bombed and then he disappeared on me and I told my friend and I sent a picture of him and she was like, oh my God, I wish you had sent me his photo before you were dating him because he is all over this website.
Oh, wow.
And she went through and found post after post and he did this to girls all the time and I've never felt more like a crummy in my whole life. I
didn't know that this existed until I think you told us that story. But no, I don't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, this was an interesting one because I really truly did not have any bad dates, which is sad because I don't have any funny stories about them. But I just had a lot of like really nice guys, just not. There wasn't really like a spark there, right? So then when I met this guy, it was over the summer. He was the first guy that I was like, oh, I actually like this guy. I was very excited about it. But after a couple dates, I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but something was off. Like I just knew something was off and I didn't know what it was and like went through this in my head and kind of chalked it up to like maybe he just doesn't like me that much. But he was so hot and cold and like, I don't know, it's just something was just off. So I decided to post him in this Facebook group because I was like,
did you know the group existed?
Yeah. I had heard about it on, I don't know, the news or something. And I joined it. When I posted his picture, I genuinely thought like, I bet I'm going to get some girls being like, oh my God, this is my friend. He's such a nice guy. Like, because
Stop being crazy.
Yeah. By all accounts, like he seemed like a really nice guy. I just had this like little like intuition that like something was off, but I never in a million years thought it was that he had a long-term girlfriend. Like that thought didn't cross my mind at all. So when I heard that and saw that, I was like, holy moly.
Trust your gut, ladies. Trust your gut.
But so then
your gut's gone. What do you trust?
Good one.
Thank you.
So then after that was right around the time that I had started, like I knew I was going to be pursuing plastic surgery. I had like gone on my consults and had booked my surgery, and I was like really focused on getting in like the best shape that I could get in. And so I was just like, you know what, forget dating. Like I'm not doing this right now. Like I have other things to focus on. And so I didn't date at all after that until I met my now boyfriend, and we met in real life, not on dating apps. We were on the same volleyball team. And
look at the smile. Oh my God. Both of you are smiling like dweebs. Get it together.
We were friends already when you and Bill started talking.
Yeah, we met. I was supposed to have plastic surgery in February. Got COVID for the first time in 3 years.
Thank God.
Thank God, because two things happened because my plastic surgery got postponed by 6 weeks. One was that we hosted this brunch, this DMV bariatric meetup brunch where I met Allie and Lisa. Mm-hmm. And the second was that Bill invited me to a poker night at his house. And it was the first time that he had invited me to anything outside of our volleyball team. And so I was like, obviously I'm going to go, but I wouldn't have been able to go had things gone according to schedule. And that was really kind of like where I think things started.
And then you did have plastic. So what was that like? Newly dating someone and having plastic surgery? Because did he know at the time that...
Well, did you date?
No, we didn't. So the poker night at his house happened, and I already kind of like had a little crush on him, but I didn't know him really out. Like we had just, we would go to volleyball and like go home. So like that was the extent of how much I knew him, but I like kind of had a little crush on him. And so when he invited me, I wanted to go. And then that night at his house, I was like, oh, he's so sweet. And he was so attentive. And I was freezing cold, and he like made me hot tea, which I thought was the sweetest thing ever.
Aww.
So I like really did like him after that, but I also then disappeared for 8 weeks because I had plastic surgery. I didn't see him or talk to him when I was recovering. And then the next volleyball season started like exactly 8 weeks after my surgery. So we didn't really start dating until I was probably 3 months post plastic surgery.
Did you date anyone else?
No.
Okay.
No. But yeah, so dating after having plastic surgery threw a whole new wrinkle into things. So I shared with him within a couple of weeks of dating that I had lost a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. And I had like said like, hey, like I lost a lot of weight and I had plastic surgery to remove some loose skin. So like, that's why I have these giant scars.
Yeah. Was that before or after he saw them? Or before or after you were, I don't know how to ask this without offending your mom, but like, was it before or after he saw you naked? Like, did you say like trigger warning?
It was after the first time.
Okay.
And then I was like, he didn't say anything.
Right. Because he's just happy to be there.
Yeah. So then the next time I was like, I feel like I need to like explain like.
And I remember that. And I remember him not saying anything. Did he acknowledge when you told him that? My remembrance of it was that like he had no idea. Like he didn't even notice you had these 8-week-old scars.
I think he said he kind of noticed.
Okay.
But I don't know that it like really registered at the time.
He's probably thinking about something else.
How did it impact you though? In terms of like, just, I don't know, being with someone new and knowing that you had these like massive changes to your body that nobody else had seen before.
I think I was partly more confident in how my body looked, but also very self-conscious about the scars.
Yeah.
And more so like not what they looked like, but like knowing that I would have to explain why they were there. Mm-hmm. I think that was a little bit more scary for me. So yeah, so I told him I had lost weight. He asked like, what made me want to do it. And I kind of like explained my reasoning, but he never asked how I lost weight. So I didn't tell him. And so then I did not tell him for another several weeks that I had bariatric surgery. And it became, I think you guys probably know, because we went on many walking mornings where I was like, how do I tell him? When do I tell him? And then finally, I think probably a month into dating, I told him that I had bariatric surgery.
What was his reaction? I know this, but what was it for the
it
benefit
was
of everyone?
he was really nice about it. He was like, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, well, that makes sense because sometimes you say you're really hungry and then you don't eat a lot.
I wanted to talk a little bit about your hesitation to tell Bill, because I think that's something that probably a lot of people struggle with. And I remember it was really something you were like going back and forth about, of like, do I tell him? How do I tell him? Now it's been a while. Is it weird? And yeah, what were the thoughts in your head? Like, what were the worry thoughts? What were you worried about? What?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I told him I had lost weight out of necessity because he was going to see the plastic surgery scars. So that was sort of like this had to come out. The bariatric surgery thing, I think I felt a little bit embarrassed by, and it was just something that was harder for me to share.
Like, were you worried about what he would think of you as a person?
Kind of, yeah.
That makes sense to me.
I think it's the same stigma, of why when people ask me how I lose weight in surgery is the last thing I say, because I'm worried about what they're going to think of me. So
I'm thinking like even in a non-dating environment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. Any person off the street I worry about.
Any geek off the street. Got to get handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Lisa loves my 90s rap references.
Yeah. And then I think as time went on, it felt like, oh, now I've like waited too long. And is he going to like think that I like hid this from him? And I don't know. And I can't remember which one of you said this, but one of you said like, it's probably better that you tell him before he makes an offhand comment about like something negative about bariatric surgery. And I was like, oh shoot, I didn't even think about that. But like, yeah, what if he does? What if he's like, oh yeah, those lazy people
that take the easy way out. Good thing you lost all that weight on your own, honey.
In hindsight, it was silly to worry about that stuff, but I definitely did worry about it.
Well, I think it's legitimate. I think it's something that a lot of people worry about. And I think it speaks to the whole concept of like, no one else cares as much as we think they do.
Totally. Yeah.
I have a surprise now, if I may.
Oh boy.
I don't know if you guys know this, but in the emails Bill sends, I noticed his cell phone number was in the signature. And so I took it upon myself to ask him some questions about this.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, he didn't know who he was messing with. I asked him something because we had kind of talked about when we met Bill for the first time, me and Lisa, we had asked him like, what'd you think when Kasey told you that? Because we knew how big a deal it felt like on our side.
Can we also just really quickly, the first time we met Bill was the night of the Just Be You Bariatric Awards.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because Kasey was nominated and he wanted to go and support her. And I just feel like that's worth acknowledging because that's the sweetest thing
And
ever.
he did meet us at the door and asked which cocktail we wanted. That he was like specialty crafting, which is another bonus for him.
Yeah, and endured an entire night of the,
4-hour-long awards show.
And about dinner before.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. Okay. So
I wanted in his words and not just me paraphrasing or me and Lisa paraphrasing what we heard that night. So I told him that obviously Kasey has shared her feelings about being nervous to share her weight loss journey and weight loss surgery with you. When she told you about it, what was your initial thought? And has it ever impacted the way you thought about her? And he said his initial thoughts on the weight loss surgery journey were threefold. 1, he thought it was amazing that you took those steps to change your life like that. 2, I'm going to cry. 2, I'm not 100% sure I fully understand exactly what she did, but I will try to continue to learn. Do I need to stop? Are you okay? And 3, I can tell that she was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for her to talk about it. And I appreciate that she had the guts/trust to tell me. I'm sure I thought other things, but that's just kind of what sticks in my head. He said, it never really impacted how I felt about her. If anything, I was more impressed/attracted to her for sharing points 1 and 3 above. I love that you wrote this. She wanted to change something in her life and actually did it herself. I like that. So like, yes, I do think I think me and Lisa could have told you this all day long, and we could tell you, Lisa, the same thing. But
Okay, well, this isn't about me right now.
But at the end of the day, like I think we say this a lot, but we don't internalize that. Like we care and we build these up so much more than other people care and build it up.
Yeah.
Kasey, what's your reaction? What are your thoughts hearing that?
I'm not crying. You're crying.
You know what? I think there's pollen in here too.
What is happening?
I just chopped some onions. My
It's this
apologies.
room. We're being poisoned in
poor
here, I think.
timing.
I cry every time now.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sweet, and I'm not surprised because he's an amazing guy, and I think, are you going to start crying again? What is
I'm
wrong with
already
you guys?
crying. Did you see me read that? I read that like I was illiterate.
Yeah, I think he's taught me so much in the past year, and I think I've shared this before, but like he's been a big reason why I've started to be more open about sharing my journey with other people, and I think he's really just helped me kind of see that like this is part of who I am. It will always be a part of my story, and that's not something that I need to be ashamed of, but it's really powerful when you have someone who like loves and cares about you. God, what is wrong with me?
No, it does. We talk about like
Nothing
giving
is
you
wrong with feelings. It's okay to feel your
No, there's so much wrong
feels.
with feelings. I agree.
No, there's not.
What did you say? I had feelings. I'm sorry. I'll replace it with a joke. That's me.
Yeah.
And I am trying so hard to replace it. I think there's so much of what we worry about with telling people, dating or otherwise, is so case specific. And like, I think it's admirable that you were worried about it, and I think it makes total sense as to why you would want to or not want to share. But also I think when you find someone who gives you the room to like trust yourself and to trust that you know what's best for you and that you did something that was best for you, like it makes it easier to share that stuff. And I don't know.
Yeah, I've never once felt an ounce of judgment from him, and I know that like I believe that he thinks it's an amazing thing, and like hearing it obviously made me cry a little bit, but like I already knew that because he makes me feel that way every single day, that like he is proud of me and he's supportive of me, and yeah, it is nice to have that.
That's all very wonderful, very sweet things that Bill had to say. Do you, and maybe this isn't even possible, but are you able to kind of reflect on relationships? Do you notice a difference in yourself and the way that you carry yourself, or the way that you allow yourself to be vulnerable in your relationship with Bill compared to pre-surgery Kasey? And do you think surgery had anything to do with that?
I do think that losing weight has made this relationship different for me and more successful, and it has nothing to do with what I look like and everything to do with how I feel about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the past it was like a worry that I'm not good enough for someone else, and then it shifted to like a you've got to be good enough for me kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And a lot of that came with the confidence from losing weight.
It's the way you feel, and it's the way that you carry yourself.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that in myself too. And Kasey, we've had several conversations where, yeah, I aspire to have the mindset that you have, where you're like, my life is full, and if you are not adding value to my life, I do not have time for you. And I try to think about that when I'm approaching relationships, because yeah, I have also spent my whole life wondering if I am good enough for someone else. It's like, well, wait a minute, what do I want?
Yeah.
Who's good enough for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely struggle a lot with self-worth and body image still and that sort of thing. But I do notice a very big difference in the way that I approach dating and carry myself after weight loss, because I'm not worried about catfishing someone anymore. I know who I am, and if you don't like me, I'm no longer worried that it's because of my size.
Exactly.
And I think I've reached a point in my life where I'm like, you either like me or you don't. And if you don't, like, great, let me know that so I can try again and not waste my time here. But I'm not worried about, are they paying attention to how much I'm eating? Not in a little amount, but like, damn, that girl can really put it away. Or like,
or like, I can't think about anything else because I'm trying not to eat that much on this date and I am so hungry.
Yeah.
Right. Or like, I need to order a salad because of my size, or I need to
just like the monitoring. Like
yeah. And I'm not, and even like, I don't feel the need for all the lights to be off anymore. And I don't like.
So I definitely do.
I mean, I definitely have things I'm self-conscious about. I have loose skin that I'm self-conscious about. And actually, I remember showing my mom all of my loose skin on my boobs. And her looking at me and saying, I said, when I'm like naked, it's just a saggy mess. And my mother was like, don't get on top.
I was waiting for you to tell me that she said like it would look better from down here, or like it would.
No.
I can tell you one thing. I feel like when I am on top now, there's a lot more movement happening. I don't know if it's necessary. Like we're going up and we're going down and we're going up. Like there's a lot of
this feels aggressive.
Yeah.
We don't need to
just
go
my
that far.
nipples are bouncing around.
I do very. That's one of the things that I like want plastic surgery for, is to still feel sexy without a bra on, because I don't feel sexy without a bra on, especially in certain settings. And
Preach.
Yeah. So I those are still things, but I don't feel the need to like cover myself up to get up and go to the bathroom, or to make sure all the lights are off, or to like, I don't know, I worry a lot less in those scenarios. And
like you only want them to catch you from this angle or whatever. Like
right. I'm like, no, I think I look decent enough.
Or like when they spoon you, you can continue to breathe and not suck it in.
Yeah,
so
I don't
like,
worry. Yeah, truly, I don't worry about like
don't grab that fat roll, buddy.
Well, I told.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I think this all the time. Like, there's a lot of mental freedom that comes with weight loss. That you see it in your physical appearance, but it's that mental space that gets freed up that's really what is so rewarding. And like, it's almost like you don't even realize how much time and energy being obese takes from you until you don't have to deal with it anymore. And it's like you don't have to worry if, a guy doesn't want to see you after the first date. Like, is it because he didn't think I was attractive? That thought never crossed my mind anymore. It was like, oh, well, because he's boring.
Yeah. Fun. And he can't.
Yeah. Or like, you don't have to worry about
that's the hardest thing to explain though, too. Because if you haven't experienced that, I don't think you understand
the absence.
Yeah. How much better you feel. Because my husband, I think, struggles now with like, the fact that I didn't love myself and I wanted to change something so drastically about myself.
If you haven't experienced it, it's very hard to understand the absence of it and how much mental space that does take up. And for me, things are more enjoyable because I am less in my head. I think I was so in my head in like any kind of intimate situation with a guy that I was never present. I wasn't present. I wasn't having fun because I was so concerned about what I looked like.
Yeah, this is totally unrelated to dating, but I had this really interesting experience on Saturday for our friend Katie's wedding. I did not know what I was going to wear to that wedding until 5 minutes before we walked out the door. And that would have never happened 100 pounds ago. I would have been shopping, trying on a billion different dresses, trying on shapewear underneath. Like I would have known exactly what I was going to wear because I couldn't like trust that what I had in my closet was going to work and that I was going to feel good in. And like those little moments are like so incredible.
They are. Yeah. And they're things you just don't, if you've never experienced it, it's not even on your radar.
Yeah.
You just have no idea. I just started a new job and it was the same thing. I was texting you guys pictures like less than 12 hours before my first day. Like, should I wear this? But I would have I would have gone and bought an outfit. I would have made sure I used to plan my outfits for the whole week because otherwise it would be a spiral of like,
wow, that is
I can't, what am I going to wear? It wasn't out of like preparedness. It was out of anxiety, like, like.
And even with dating, like, when I would go to Bill's house, I didn't worry about like the clothes that I was going to wear there. Like what was I going to sleep in and what was I going to wear home? It was just like, I don't know, throw a couple things in a bag and it'll be fine.
That's the one of, I think, the most freeing things is that, being, I mean, I still want to look good but the amount of effort in the clothes that I put on and think about what I'm, wearing out in public. And also like, I care much less about, I wear less makeup. I do my hair less often.
Yeah, I'll never wear less makeup.
I feel that's actually this new job. Everyone is so fresh faced. That was one of the things.
It's a no makeup look. They're fooling you.
Yeah, but I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm wearing too much makeup. Everyone here is just like all natural. Like, okay, I got to tone it down. But I don't feel the need to be so done up anymore because I don't feel like I'm compensating. I used to be like, oh, I at least you have a pretty face. Like I was that girl. Like, oh, you're so pretty for a big girl, or you have a pretty face. And I'm like, I don't feel the need to.
I had like the copious amounts of makeup. I had like giant, would rival professional makeup artist kits. And now I wear like 4 products.
Yeah.
Like total.
Yeah.
I don't. I still love it, but I loved it before because it was fun for me.
Yeah, it's
like
fun for you.
outlet.
And that's different. It's not for me.
Corey struggles with that a lot, though. My husband doesn't like that.
With the makeup?
He would like wish if he could like burn all the makeup in our house, he would.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about Corey because I obviously you were already married and had kids before weight loss surgery. And so the dynamic of that relationship shifting through your weight loss journey, I would imagine is very different from what Kasey or I have experienced. And I'm curious what that has looked like. I think
it's been one of the tougher things we've gone through together, to be honest. And we're lucky that we haven't had that much tough stuff to face just yet, but it's been hard. And I think we're just now, I'm about a year and a couple months post-op. And I would say we're just now starting to get to the point where we are communicating about it better. It has taken me up until about a year post-op to like really accept the fact that my husband loved my body the way it was before. Never crossed my mind that could have been a thing.
You mean that you didn't believe that you believed he loved you, but not what your body looked like?
Yeah, like he loved me for all of the reasons I love me, which are like all of the things inside.
Like he loved you in spite of your body.
I just, like he put up with my body because he loved me or something, I guess. And also like my husband's so like, frustratingly so, he avoids like physical compliments. And we had to get to a point where I would say like, I need more of those because he's like, every time I'd say like, does this look good? He'd be like, are you comfortable? Every time is the response. Are you comfortable? And I say like, I'm very comfortable in both of these things, but I would like to know what you, because it like he just is like, what am I supposed to say to that? And I would have to say like, I need more compliments from you on my appearance also. Like I want to hear that sometimes. And he'd be like, of course, I think you look great. I married you. Like I sleep next to you every night. What are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, but like you still have to say it. So he's always been, his focus has never been really my body. And I always just assumed that was because he didn't like it. And not because he, is a feminist. I don't know. But yeah, I think I felt so good. And I think it was hard. It's hard for me to verbalize just what you guys were just talking about, which is like the freedom and mental space. Because I didn't have like diabetes or blood pressure issues. Like I didn't have a ton of medical stuff beforehand just yet. Right. But so I think it's like hard for him to understand why I would take such a drastic seeming step to him.
But he had seen you struggle, right? Like he had seen you on weight loss attempts.
Oh yeah. I mean, and he was always like along for the ride on that, but and when I brought up surgery to him, he was like, if you can be the bionic woman, like do it. If medicine can help you, do it. It's great. And don't make the decision for anyone but you. But so he's always been like very supportive in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like we had, like post-surgery, I felt like I was starting to feel much better about myself and that he was starting to like me less. I don't know that was true, but that's how it felt. Like there was just this like growing disconnect between what he had said he always wanted was that I love myself more, and I'm feeling like I love myself more, and I'm feeling like he loves me less. And I don't think that's true, but that's how it felt. And yeah, it was like a year or so post-op that I said to him like, hey, I'm really struggling with this because I feel like I have never felt better. And our relationship doesn't seem to be as where it was before. It didn't occur to me that he was struggling with massive changes in me in 6 months. You know what I mean? Like physically.
Yeah.
Because it didn't occur to me that he could have loved my body the way it was before. anyway, so we talked about it, and I'm like, I'm jealous of other people that I see that like feel better, and their marriages seem to be happier, and they're like, or their relationships seem to be happier or whatever. I'm jealous of that, and
He phrased being seemed to be.
Well, yeah. And also we got to the point where, and I think this is where we started to kind of work through it, is I would much rather have a relationship that's built on something that's not what I look like and work through this sort of tough period with him than be with someone who is celebrating me being smaller,
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. I mean, almost feels worse if like, he's like, oh, now you're hot. Now I like you, right?
Right.
Like,
if you all of a sudden had this affection that you never received before, it's like, oh, now I get this.
Right. And it's funny because now we've been talking about a lot more. And I think I mentioned on the plastics episode that like he never mentioned my boobs being gone or whatever. But when I brought it up and when we got like kind of more real into talking about this, he's like, it's hard. Like, I miss your butt. And I'm like, Corey, who are you talking to? Like, I never had a butt. And he's like, trust me, I looked at it a lot. I don't know. It's just been very different. And I thought it would be kind of rainbows and butterflies. Like, he would be thrilled. And I forgot that I'm married to a man who isn't celebrating a ton of physical appearance type things. So anyway, it's gotten a little better. But I think being open and I've been like kind of pressing him for more, because he's not one to like say if he's upset or concerned or whatever. He's like, you kind of need to beat it out of him a little bit.
But you actually asked Corey some questions for this episode. Do you want to share some of those?
They're not
questions?
as good as Bill, so nobody get your tissues ready, because he compared me to a cake. So I asked him if he had any, like, what are the big challenges as he sees them in our relationship, like post surgery, like that he thinks surgery has impacted. And he's like, we have a ways to go, but we're getting there. A tough one for me is that I have pictures everywhere of my wife who I fell in love with, and they may be doctored or not, which was something he really struggled with. I shared with him the post I did on like changing photos and stuff, and he had no idea that people did that.
Oh, wow. That like editing photos to make yourself look smaller.
And definitely did not know that I did it. He said, I have no clue if they've been doctored or not, but that is who I fell in love with. I am going to cry reading these. She was and has been, this is weird to say, a sexual desire, an athlete, a friend, a travel partner.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I can get it together. A travel partner, and most importantly, beyond a wife, an actual mother of two. And for her to not see herself as beautiful has been difficult to me. And what is her actual definition of beauty? Or are women even able to define their own beauty? It's been tough. And then I said, I hear all of this and I love you for it. And he said, this is where it gets good. Years ago, my aunt made a cake that she tried to pass as a, quote, healthier version of my grandmother's famous pound cake. You could immediately taste that it was different, but it was a good cake, just not the one that made us remember my grandmother. I just have to get used to this new cake.
That's actually a fantastic answer.
I actually love that. Anyway, and I sent him a long thing about, he knows this already, but that I really never loved myself until I knew Corey. Like I talk about like weight loss surgery giving you like the guardrails or whatever, like the stability and safety and stuff of having time to like tease stuff out and learn about yourself. And I think he gave me that too. Anyway.
Allie, I know you don't love getting emotional, but I think it's very real for people, the way that relationships, especially intimate ones, are altered after surgery, right? You are not alone in this at all. I imagine that most people who are in a committed relationship and or a marriage, and one of them goes through this, I mean, it's life-changing. At least I think it is. And it's hard on both parties. And it's like, who am I and who are we as a couple?
Yeah.
In this new reality, in this new normal.
Yeah.
And I also think, Corey's answer, which I loved, I think speaks to like how difficult it is for someone to understand what you're going through when you're struggling with your weight and struggling with not loving yourself, especially someone who loves you so deeply. And like that's a struggle for them in a very different way too.
Yeah.
To, you know, I can imagine like loving someone so much and then realizing that they didn't love themselves. That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's important. I think it's great that you guys you're talking about it. You know what I mean? You're starting to have those conversations, and like it doesn't have to be this hidden thing that isn't spoken about or isn't acknowledged. It's like, yeah, this is real. This is happening, and how do we find a path forward?
Yeah. And I also like want to be clear that he is very, you guys know this, but he's very supportive and like celebrates me in a lot of other ways. It's just not the physical side of like celebrating. Like Corey wouldn't be someone that I would say like, oh, my weight today is this, like, or I lost 30 pounds, or like I guarantee you if you asked him how much weight I had lost, he'd have no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
because that's not important to him.
No, it's not. And he would not celebrate that. Like actively, he would like rail against celebrating that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like I'm making him out to be like a total
No,
I don't think so. No,
he's a fantastic husband and dad.
He is. And
he won't care if you think otherwise anyways.
No, he won't, because he's confident, which is amazing.
I feel like I've learned a lot, and it's that I shouldn't prepare for any of this, and I definitely shouldn't ask any questions to anyone or do anything thoughtful ever again. Everyone cool with that?
It's an interesting takeaway, Allie.
It's the only type of takeaway I can do. It's crazy to me. One thing I keep thinking about for this whole episode has been things that we don't say out loud, and like just thoughts that go through our head, how loud they can be and how much they impact so many parts of our lives. Because I think when you're thinking them, you're like, oh, they're not really that harmful. Like, oh, I don't like my boobs or whatever. For me, like you think like, oh, it's just like, I don't, whatever. It's not something that I attach a lot of value to. But one thing that I've heard all of us, I think, say is like that when we have started to feel differently about ourselves, nothing changes externally, really. And you feel differently. And all of a sudden you're attracting such different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's the way that you're carrying yourself.
Yeah.
I've noticed that, tenfold. I attract more attention.
Yeah.
When I feel better about the way I carry myself.
I think I struggled with this a little bit because for all of my life, I attributed my lack of relationships to my weight. And my first and only successful relationship has been post losing 100 pounds and having plastic surgery. And I struggled with the idea that like I was finally physically acceptable. And like now this is the first time a relationship is working. But I have to remind myself that like I am a fundamentally different person than I was 2.5 years ago. And it's not just about what's on the outside. Like it's the confidence, it's the emotional growth. It's like everything else has changed. The physical part just happens to be there too. But it's hard not to think about that sometimes. Like it's almost validating those fears that I always had that like, oh, it's because I'm fat. That's why no one wants to date me. And then like, nope, now I'm not. So now it's working. And I know that that's not true. But that is something I struggle with.
I get it. I mean, I think that's a huge part of, I joke about my trainer and having a crush on him. But I think it's a very similar, not a very similar situation, but I think there are parallels there where it's like, he's a trainer. He's a gorgeous, young, very, very fit man. And he flirts with me. When I used to get on dating apps prior to surgery and somebody said they were a trainer or that fitness was really important.
Yeah, pass.
Swipe left.
It was an immediate swipe left because I was like, there's no way that they're going to be into me.
Yeah.
If they're into like a personal trainer, absolutely not. So the fact that like there's a trainer flirting with me.
Yeah, but everyone has a type.
Yeah, same with like anyone.
But like it validates those same worry thoughts.
Well, I have a person you should ask some of these questions to, and some of the like worries and stuff, and maybe you can get another perspective on it. But she'll be our guest next week, and no one will know who she is, so don't even try to guess.
I'm excited for
because
that.
This person has been married for I don't know a long time, more than 10 years. more than 15 years, to someone who never knew her before she had bariatric surgery and plastic surgery.
Wow. What a tease.
I didn't
may be
know that she had
helpful.
plastic surgery.
I don't think I did
news to me.
either.
She's an FDL girl.
Really?
Ooh.
Definitely didn't know that.
Definitely not genetic to lose all your breast tissue. It only happened to me.
Lucky you.
Uh-huh.
Well, on that note, tune in next week for a special secret guest.
Yeah, we're really excited about the guest we have on next week. Thank you guys so much for this conversation. This was I think more emotional than I was expecting it to be, but I think it really kind of speaks to just how much dating and relationships are affected not only by weight, but how dramatically they change after weight loss and weight loss surgery and all of the emotions that go along with that. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing.
Yeah, bear with us. I promise I will try not to cry next week. Was this
One
two
of
in a
these
row?
weeks?
Then it is
It
two.
was, yeah.
No, because I didn't cry doing plastics, right?
The new title is going to be "What's Allie crying about this week?"
I know, and everyone's not going to buy. I keep saying on Instagram, like, I'm not usually emotional, but if I'm going to be emotional, it's about my kids. Like, no one's going to be believing me anymore. Guys, tell them I'm not like this.
They're like, yeah, that girl just cries all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you next week.
What did I say last week? Catch you later.
And I unfriended you.
Toodaloo.